In an age when the world had not yet been fully tamed by time, some creatures were born with only a single eye. They were known as the Cyclopes. No one knew whether their birth was accompanied by the roar of thunder or the whispers of the earth. They are the forgotten guardians, lonely yet mighty. Do you want to discover the true face of the one-eyed giants? Ancient legends say they were the offspring of the union between sky and earth. Uranus's fury and Gaia's silence gave them life. The names of the 3 oldest Cyclopes were carried away by the wind, yet they still echoed in the rumble of storms: Arges, Brontes, and Steropes. Their eyes, like solitary suns, hung in the center of their faces, illuminating entire caves and revealing the unspeakable loneliness within. Their bodies towered into the clouds, muscles as thick as the rings of an oak tree, fingers sturdy as ancient branches along riverbanks. Each strike of metal upon metal sounded as if it were pounding at the seams between heaven and earth, stitching chaos into a world that could be traversed. From their hands, thunder was born, and order was remade. Zeus's thunder never appeared out of nowhere. It was forged by the Cyclopes, carrying light and fire, time, and solitude. Hesiod's Theogony records that the Cyclopes were not only children of the gods, but also guardians of the forces that ruled the earth. Their hammering shattered the firmament and marked the opening of history itself. As years slowly passed, the world gradually changed. The giants, once towering and commanding the lightning, were exiled to distant islands, transformed into silent shepherds. There were no trumpets of war, only the whisper of the sea brushing against rocks and the solitary shadows of distant sails. Polyphemus, the most renowned among them, kept his eye burning like a lighthouse, yet it could only see the scattered flocks on the sand and the emptiness of his cave. His strength was immense, but his wisdom was often mocked by human cunning. When Odysseus's sailors arrived at the island and were trapped within Polyphemus's cave, the firelight at night reflected in the giant's single eye, as if the weight of the world itself pressed upon it. Human cleverness and deceit seemed insignificant and fragile before him. His roar shattered the rock walls, causing stones to tremble slightly, while the waves whispered outside the cave, as if all of nature were crying out in his defense. Yet, when a wooden stake pierced his eye, the shadow of human intelligence overcame the light of strength. The giant stamped his foot in pain, splashing seawater, the cave resonating with the sound of wind and damp air, as if recounting a loneliness long forgotten. Far to the west, deep in the forests of the Basque mountains, another legend of a one-eyed giant quietly persisted. Tartalo, his body immense as piled stones, walked with steps both heavy and agile, dwelling in caves and cliffside recesses. His eye, like a beacon deep in the mountains, pierced the morning mist and the nightfall shadows, seeing the secrets carried by the wind and the whispers of rivers. He lived alone, hunting goats, and sometimes observing travelers who crossed his path. Legend says that Tartalo would seize those who dared enter his forest, but he was not purely malevolent. In some tales, he also guarded the forest, preventing humans from harming nature too much. Tartalo's eye burned like a flame within the deep valley, carrying solitude and silence. His roar echoed across mist-filled gorges, accompanied by the murmurs of rivers and the rustle of pine in the wind. Villagers say that whenever thick fog blankets the night, you may hear the sound of breathing from behind rocks. That is Tartalo watching travelers pass, and also watching the secrets of the world. His solitude mirrored that of the Greek Cyclopes. Both were beings isolated by their power and existence, possessing vision beyond human comprehension, yet standing watch over wilderness untouched by civilization. The Greek Cyclopes symbolized thunder, creation, and divine power, while Tartalo represented nature, primal strength, solitude, and fear. When Odysseus temporarily overcame Polyphemus with cunning, humans conquered strength for a fleeting moment. But in the Basque forests, humans facing Tartalo realized that some forces could not be conquered. They existed only in corners inaccessible to mankind, reminding mortals to revere nature, to revere the unknown. The legends of these two kinds of one-eyed giants, though from distant lands, echoed one another. Their loneliness, their eyes, their distance from the human world, forming an eternal bridge across time and space. On the Greek island, Polyphemus sat at the cave's mouth, the sea wind and whispering rocks playing like an ancient melody. He recounted the days when his brothers forged thunder and the hardships brought by human cunning. Waves struck the reefs, and his eye gazed upon distant ships. Loneliness flowed through him like tidal water between cracks in the rock. Meanwhile, in the Basque valleys, Tartalo walked slowly through the forest, tracking goats, his gaze piercing the morning mist to follow wandering travelers. Their eyes were like twin lanterns, one illuminating the deserted island beach, the other lighting the misty depths of the mountain forest. The presence of giants reminded humanity that there are corners of the world mortals cannot tread. Greek islands, Basque forests, thunder, mist, caves, wind. Everywhere bore traces of the one-eyed giants. They were both creators and destroyers. Greek Cyclopes forged thunder and wielded divine power, while Tartalo ruled the forest, guarding nature's order. Loneliness was their shared fate, strength their shared mark, and time could not erase the traces they left in legend. On distant islands and deep valleys, the wind stirred sand and fallen leaves, stretching the shadows of giants across the sea and rivers. They seemed to wait for a name, a story, or a soul capable of understanding their solitude. Their breath resonated with the waves and wind. Their roars echoed with thunder. They silently guarded the boundary between the known and the unknown, reminding humans that strength and loneliness were two sides of the same coin. As night falls and starlight spreads over lonely islands, forests, ancient temples, and dense woodlands, the Cyclopean giants of the world seem to open their eyes all at once. Their gaze pierces through time and space, watching the human world, your footsteps, your breaths, even the little secrets you hide deep in your heart. Everything lies under their watchful eyes. You might feel fear, but remember, they are not malevolent spirits. They are reminders of existence. Loneliness is the shadow of power. Power is the echo of loneliness. They make you realize that every self-proclaimed victory, every prideful act of conquering nature, may appear small and absurd from a higher, older perspective. Their presence reminds us that the forces of the world are not only meant to be conquered or displayed. Loneliness is not only suffering, it can also be a way to observe and understand. Power and solitude, wisdom and humor, fear and curiosity, they are always intertwined, like a coin spinning endlessly, reflecting truths we have never touched. The Cyclopean giants have never left. They have simply chosen a different way to keep watch, through silence, whispers, roars, thunder, and the wind, reminding anyone who dares to explore the unknown. Power and solitude are the oldest laws of the world, and the mirror that every soul must face.